this text just came in. It says there were a lot of trendy liberals that showed up at the NSA protest. Every walk of life showed up, approximately 300 people.
Talk radio veteran Jack Stockwell thinks his K-Talk listeners on the right and left can agree on one issue, the threat posed by sweeping government surveillance.
I think we're all being listened to. I think we're all being transcripted and digitized and put into a memory bank somewhere.
Stockwell is creeped out by what's being built just down the road, a humongous complex of gloomy concrete warehouses, 1 million square feet in all, space enough for supercomputers capable of storing pretty much everything. The NSA's Bluffdale facility will be up and running later this year.
Unfortunately, they took those programs that I built and turned them on you.
Former NSA analyst William Binney, whose warnings about domestic surveillance programs fell on deaf ears until this year, says the sheer size of the facility proves the NSA is lying when it says it will only collect metadata, big picture stuff. Bluffdale could house every single communication in the world for 500 years, Binney says.
Well, there's several inherent lies in that. One is the metadata. You could keep the entire metadata and the relationships of metadata for the world in a space of approximately 12 foot by 20 foot. That's all the storage that it would take to do that. The only reason they need to have such amounts of storage is for content.
By Binney's calculations, the Bluffdale computers will be able to digest the equivalent of the Library of Congress every minute. What's more, he says, Bluffdale is one of at least 6 similar NSA facilities, and every one of them has undergone expansion. The NSA doesn't grant interviews, but told Congress it needs all of this data to root out terrorists and to protect us from cyber attack. Journalist D.B. Grady, who's written extensively about government secrecy, is not convinced.
If you wanted to build a data center designed to collect every phone call, every email, every Amazon transaction, every electronic communication in the United States, it would look exactly like the Utah data center. Why then do you need 100 million data records from Verizon? There are not 100 million terrorists in the United States.
Prior to the attacks of 9/11, the NSA was strictly forbidden from conducting surveillance in the U.S. Now, such data collection is virtually unlimited. Grady thinks once the NSA opens Bluffdale, there's no way it will ever be disconnected, only expanded.
Even if you trust the present administration, the present leaders of the National Security Agency, the present heads of the intelligence community, you have to also assume that every single leader we have from now until the end of time is going to be trustworthy and is not going to take advantage of this massive system able to literally mine anything you say or write.
I'm concerned about the dwindling and the erosion of our liberties here in this country, and I am one who believes it does not necessarily make us more safe.
Nevada Senator Dean Heller, one of the few lawmakers who voted against the Patriot Act, says he and other members of Congress are well aware of the vast expansion of the NSA's capabilities. Heller has co-sponsored legislation to open up the FISA court, that is, the secret court which has okayed nearly every single surveillance program sought by intelligence agencies.
And the only way you can solve this problem is it has to be public. I think you have to open up these courts and know specifically what their decisions are.
Back on the 4th of July, about 300 people rallied in Bluffdale to protest against increased surveillance, but the crowd has dissipated, and each day the massive plant gets closer to full operation. Much of the public looks at the facility as a warm, protective blanket.
And when I see things like that happening, I don't see us moving towards a freer society. I see us moving towards a more controlled collectivist society where you're going to be on a list.